room. We are live on multiple platforms. Jonathan, you want to tell them where we're live?
I sure do, Paris. So everybody, welcome. We are live here, of course, on Clubhouse. We're also on Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So if you want to watch along or follow along, do me a favor, click on Twitter on my bio and go ahead and see the most recent post. If you could do us a favor and just retweet that, you can comment along there as well. And we'll actually see those comments. And then we can go ahead and ask that question during the show today. You can do the same thing on LinkedIn and on YouTube. So this is episode number 5 of Anybody's Game. We've been doing this for over a month now, which means it's a habit, which means it's something we'll keep going. Paris, it's been really fun doing this with you, and I'm excited for our next guest.
Absolutely. So if anyone's wondering, if you have not come to this show on Tuesday night, essentially our goal is to interview the best of the best in their line of work, whether it's an athlete, an entrepreneur, a founder, a business person, somebody who is an expert in social media. What we're trying to figure out is what it takes to make it, whatever industry that you're in. So we hope that you'll join us. The format is that Jonathan and I will interview this guest for half an hour, 35 minutes, maybe 40. It's a very big privilege to be able to speak to such individuals, but the floor is open to you as well. So if you want to join in the conversation, please do raise your hand closer to the end of the show. We will definitely give you an opportunity to come on and ask them the questions. Usually the individuals we have on host some of the most incredible rooms, whether it's on Clubhouse or host some really amazing events. And usually it's all about their guest, their show, what they're doing, who they're highlighting, and we seldom get to ask them the questions. So tonight is that night. You'll get to ask them the questions that you've been wondering about, and we are very excited to figure out what it is that helped them get to where they are. So, Jonathan, are we ready?
100%. We are ready. And as we said, we are live on Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Do click on the Twitter, give that a retweet, and you can see what we all look like in real life. But if you do have a comment or a question, you can throw it there. We'll do our best to answer. We do see there's a couple hand raised. Do keep them up. We will, as Paris mentioned, open it back up here in about 30 minutes or so and let you ask your questions. So Paris, do you want to do the honors of inviting our guests?
Yes, 100%. So excited to introduce this individual. He's an entrepreneur. He's an advisor. He's a social media expert. He's the founder of the Good Life account on Instagram, over 2 million followers just on that account alone. And there's definitely more. For months, he's been hosting some of the biggest rooms and most talked about rooms here on Clubhouse. And tonight, we're going to find out how he does it. We're hoping that he's going to share the tips, and secret. Welcome, Farokh.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Thank you so much for that. Like, that was a great introduction, by the way. And thank you so much for. Oh, I think there's like an echo here. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor. I did get to see your last show, and I thought it was cool. And when you asked me, I was like, all right, let's do it.
Honestly, it's easy to do an intro like that when the person has so many accolades and lives up to them. A lot of people just, the titles are kind of padded, and with you, not only is it there, but it has been for a long, long time, and we've all been witness to what you've been doing here. So my first question to you is, in a world where social platforms are driving conversations, they're driving culture, marketing, communications, business, politics, I'm wondering, do you think it is possible for anybody to make it? Is it really anybody's game?
It's anybody and everybody's game in 2021. And I think, it's a good question because I mean, by the way, y'all, I didn't know any questions that were going to get asked to me right now, but this is like a great question because, and I think about that a lot and I speak on that a lot and it's the reason why I share my journey to start with. That's why I started my whole personal brand Farokh back then in 2015 on Instagram, is because I'm just a regular kid. Like, I'm no superhero. Like, if I fall down and I cut myself, I still bleed red just like anybody else. So it's not anybody's game. Like, literally, like, I'm not a celebrity. I'm not a superstar. I'm not a superhero. I'm not an athlete. I'm not a movie star, TV star. I'm just Farokh. That's who I am. And I managed to not only build myself an audience, but also be part of businesses today that, you know, make me who I am and allow me to not only have all the fun in the world, be able to make a decent living for myself, but also, you know, share my life with everybody around myself and just be able to be in a position to like inspire others. So it's like, the answer to your question is simple, and it's a big yes. Anybody's game, anybody can make it nowadays.
I love that excitement, and you know, it's there, especially with the way content is, the methods and the mediums to produce content has totally shifted. You know, you don't need to have a super high budget camera. You don't need to have the best recording, you know, studio software out there. You can literally just pick up your phone, go on Instagram, do a live, consistent, and you know, with that, you are a very consistent person. And just, you know, going a little off script here, but what have you found to work in that consistency of the rooms that you've been putting together and so forth?
It's energy. Show up. You're gonna host someone, show up. You're gonna be a guest on someone's show up. You know, bring the energy, or else what are you here for? Especially on Clubhouse, like, you know what I mean? Like, or else just you can sit in the audience and listen, which is just as important. Because when I in the room, I always thank my audience first. Because without the listeners, then I have nothing, right? So it's, if you're gonna show up somewhere, if you want to start rooms, if you want to post, if you want to tweet, just always show up. You know, it's important, because at the end of the day, specifically on Clubhouse, like, I like to compare a host to a maestro. What do you do when you host a room? You set the stage, you set the conversation, and you let the music play. But the music is the voices of other people, you know, and that's the beautiful thing. And when there's a perfect symphony and everything works in harmony and there's energy, you feel it. But not only do you feel it, your guests feel it, the other people on stage feel it, but your audience does. And I've seen it literally directly affect numbers, right? Like, whenever there's something negative that happens on stage, poof, comes falling, and you have this dark energy. But whenever like there's a high energy and this, and that, and high energy does not mean go happy, go lucky. You know, so you can speak of topics that matter, that must be spoken about, but with energy, right? There's something out there. And so if you show up, especially if you're a main host, if you're the person putting the show together, I mean, you guys show up and you have the energy, this and that, so it's fun, right? You're leading me to your energy, right? And so that's like really the most important thing that drives anything. You can feel it more on Clubhouse than anywhere else, but you can feel it on someone's Instagram stories. You can feel it even through a tweet sometimes. So it's really important to show up.
When you first started out, what platforms did you start on, and how did you grow it?
I'm 26 now, and I made my first Facebook account when I was 12 years old. So that's like 14 years ago, right? My math is good, yeah. So, but you know, it's ever since like social media came about, like I was always so curious. Like I was like, wait, what is this? Like I can do something out of this, right? And I was so curious. And then came Twitter. So I started doing tweets and this and that. I would create a Montreal Problems account, like 10,000 followers in like a month and this and that, like those trends. Like it was always jumping those trends. I remember making memes. Remember the OG like troll faces, or like the OG memes, like the little kid, like the success kid, and like the Pepe the Frog and this and that. Like the OG memes. I would start meme pages. Like in my high school, I had the meme page about my high school, and out of 800 students, it had 800 likes. So like likes were followers, right, on Facebook. So the whole school followed it. But I really, really embarked in this like journey in 2011. And when I started Mr. Good Life, which is now rebranded completely to Good Life as of a couple of years ago. But originally, Mr. Good Life was just a vision board of what I'm passionate about. I always loved cars. My mother always told me, like, when I would see a Ferrari, I would just run towards it. I could barely walk, you know, like I always had this thing for nice cars. And then I got really into fashion, because my first job, you know, my first real job, because I was always like hustling, trying to make a little money here and this, and I'm 12, but like at 15, I got a job at Influence You, a local store in Montreal, and I was selling jeans and high fashion, like, and I had to understand why jeans is worth $300, right? For some people, it makes no sense, but it's a fine craftsmanship. But then comes the branding, the marketing, and everything. So I got so into all that, and I always loved architecture and nice things, and not for the materialistic side of things. I like it because it takes a long time to prepare. I love those things. And so I started Good Life in 2011 on Tumblr. First 2 years, zero traffic, but I was consistent every single day. I became a self-taught video, photo and video editor, and I would curate content always giving rightful credit to the owners. And so within 2 years, like I literally had no followers. And I remember that one time in 2013, I put a post out. I was traveling to Paris and Prague, and I was like, yo, I can't wait to share photos of my travels. And I got 1 like. And when I saw that, I was like, wait, I find myself a little more interesting than that. And I'm sure I have something to say. And I have a voice that I want to use, because I used to always like use my platform for like activism too. Like I was always stand up for people, stand up for what I believe in, stand up against like racial issues around the world. So I would use my platform for that, but I never had the following, right? And so I told myself, yo, when you get back from that trip, you're going to go all in. And so I remember I came back from a trip, and within a year after that, I built the biggest luxury Tumblr blog in the world. I believe so. 150,000 followers. My photos were all over the internet. It was crazy. But go figure, 3 years in, $0 in, just building. It wasn't a business. And then in 2014, at the end of it, November, I noticed, go on Instagram, right? And obviously I had Instagram since 2012, but like 2014 was really getting some traction. Like Mark Zuckerberg bought it for $1 billion, this and that. Like it's starting to pop. Maybe sub 100 million users, like 1 point something billion today. And so I get on the platform, like, damn, not only are people ripping my content, but this is cool. Like I can build a luxury brand on here. I can build I can bring Mr. Good Life at the time to Instagram. And so I logged out of Tumblr. To this day, I haven't logged back in. I went to Instagram. Within a month, I did 10,000 followers. Second month, 25,000. Third month, 50,000. And in January 2015, I made my first dollar on Instagram. And after that, within 2 years, I built 10 million followers across multiple pages. So this is when I really got my first like success in a way. Like I did the whole Tumblr thing. That was really like the OG days. Like a lot of OG like internet kids, like myself, I am an internet kid at the end of the day. Like it comes from Tumblr. Like it really, that's where a lot of stuff started.
That's a great story, especially because I think a lot of people would probably forget about Tumblr, today. And so to think that, hey, this is something that I learned from, which is a great example for anyone, is maybe it doesn't necessarily matter what you're learning off of, is you can take that pattern recognition from that, apply it to a new thing. And it looks like that's what you've been able to do with Clubhouse, and the way you've grown that. So want to ask you a little bit about that. And at the same time, if a newbie was to ask you which platform do you think the easiest for them to grow on right now, what would you tell them?
I mean, it depends on what you're trying to achieve. Like I had this conversation with a friend the other day, and I was like, dude, it depends on what you're trying to do. Like if you're trying to build, like, I don't know, like, but right now, like if you, obviously we keep saying like TikTok has the best discovery, right? You could go viral like this on TikTok with no followers and build a brand. I mean, when I started TikTok, like I remember, I think I did 35,000 followers my first 24 hours on the platform. Video hit on the first hit. Total luck, by the way, no skill required. Then I got 8 million views. I mean, the video was dope, and the song I put in and stuff like that, but it didn't take much work. That's what I'm trying to say. And that's not downplaying the hard work everybody's putting into grow their platform. I'm just saying there's better discovery. And so I did that. Now you have Instagram, and like they have the TikTok replica, right? They came out with Reels. Reels is popping. So you see Reels is popping, you start creating content for that and curating it on purpose for that. That's what we did. We have a Reel that did 50 million views on Good Life, and we gained like 100,000 followers off of it, right? So if I were to tell you right now, like start on a platform, unfortunately, you have to kind of spread yourself thin and test different platforms, but you're better off perhaps starting, with something like Instagram, which to me, Instagram will always be my favorite platform because it's so diverse. Like it has so much reach. There's a story feature. There's you can post whatever. You can interact with people in comments. You can post Reels, IGTV. There's guides. I mean, there's so much to it. That's what I would tell you. I mean, that's what it is. But then again, if you're more of a vocal person, and I knew I was, which is why Clubhouse came in at the perfect time for me, because I needed to express myself even further. But I didn't necessarily want to put a camera and get a video editing team. And it was a lot of work, and I have all that. But it's just like Clubhouse came in so clutch. So when you see a platform come in early, you go for it. So the thing is, do your research, figure out what your target audience is. You want more business people, older crowd, then you hit up Twitter. I mean, Twitter is dope for that. I'm growing on Twitter massively right now, and I'm loving it. I'm connecting with people I never thought I could connect with. Clubhouse, same thing. It's like Twitter, but with voice, right? Then some people, it's TikTok. It really depends. You have to really do your due diligence, study the platforms, and then just go for it, which is what I always did, and it really worked out.
Oh, I'm wondering, I know that, you work as an advisor, obviously, and, we know that you're killing it online, but offline, you're also brought in on a lot of projects. A lot of people bring you in for expertise behind the scenes. And I know that you don't advertise that. We don't see all the behind the scenes work that you do with people. What are some of the top mistakes that you see people make? So when you get hired to go give people advice or to oversee them as they're doing their content creation, what do you think people are doing wrong that you come in and correct them on?
Well, I think the most common mistake for anyone right now, and I've made the mistake. Thank God I made it really young. I mean, I'm still super young, right? But I'm not, but it's greed. Like, a lot of people just don't realize that you're getting paid to advise someone. Like, first of all, you're lucky to even be in that position, and second of all, and if you're being paid to, advise someone, it means you've done it yourself. I'd start actually even go back one now that I said that is, first of all, do it, then go teach it. Like, you're not a consultant. Like, I will never take someone seriously or hire someone to come advise me on growth on Instagram if you haven't done what I did, right? It doesn't have to be that big, but like, you know what I mean? Like, would you hire someone who only did 10,000 followers on Instagram? No, you wouldn't, right? So you will hire someone who has multiple millions of followers because they've done it, right? And so, first of all, do your research. Like, a lot of people just tend to go in the space without having done it themselves. It's the most important. Now, the second part is, once they've done it, a lot of people tend to be greedy, right? Like, they don't see, they see themselves above their clients. But you got to understand, like, even though I don't believe that the client is always right personally, but the client is mostly right. But at the end of the day, the client is putting food on your table, and they're the people paying you. And so you have to understand that, like, you have to put the client forward and make sure that you deliver the product, that you deliver. You have deliverables, you have a timeline, you have deliverables. Respect the two. That's the most important thing. How do I know that? I've burnt myself. I've lost business like that. Like, like just out of pure greed, and you learn, and it's fine. It's okay. But if you haven't been there yet, just listen to me and don't make the same mistake, right? And the other thing is, respect your timeline, respect your deliverables. You say you're gonna do something, do it. That's the most important part, right? Working in the physical verse, but even in digitally, like, when I have clients, digital clients, like, most everything's online, right now, especially with like pandemic and everything. That's like the two most important things is no greed, and make sure you get it done.
The other part of it, though, when you go in and all of the clients that you have helped, over the years or even recently, what mistakes do you see them do? Like, when you're going in, is there something that you're finding across the board a lot of people are doing that they shouldn't be doing? That when you go in, let's say you're reviewing their Instagram or you're looking over at the type of content that they're creating, is it not authentic enough? Is it that they're doing too much of a theme and it looks fake? What advice do you find yourself giving to people over and over again when it comes to their social media platform?
I mean, the number one advice I give not only clients, but literally every single person I speak to, literally every single human being I've spoken to so far in years, is just create. Like, stop like putting mental barriers. Like, even brands, like, whether you're a product, like a physical good or tangible, intangible, or whether a person, like, a lot of people just like, they're just so stuck on like what people think about it, right? You just gotta go out there. Like, you're never gonna have proof of concept unless you put yourself out there and you try, right? So that's the number one thing. Number two thing is, a lot of people want to go too fast. And now, which is why I don't even work with people on a monthly basis anymore, because it takes so much more than a month to even set up and start working. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, you got to understand, like, you can't just launch a successful brand overnight. Yeah, it might have happened here and there, but you haven't seen the work people did in the past. So the thing is, it takes a long time to build brand. And I say that even to my partners. Like, I got into another business that last year, it took us months to build brands. And that's fine, because guess what? Now I have a brand, I have something solid, I have foundation, and I can sell the product. And people will see that it's legitimate. So what most people need to understand, like, I'm talking about brands now hiring, that's why I said earlier the client is not always right, is you can't rush things. You can't go too fast. And that goes to anything in your life, even your personal private life or your professional life, like even for your own business. Like, you can't just rush things. Take it easy, focus on the brand, and also focus on the 10-year plan. Like, social media is not going anywhere. Like, technology is just evolving. It's just, if anything, Hire the person that is the most versatile and can shift like that. Clubhouse is out, boom. Twitter this, bang. Like you just gotta like, you know. So it's really just like chill, take a step back, and just build brand.
Yeah, brand is definitely not overnight. There's very few brands that are overnight. You know, every overnight success story probably takes 10 years to happen overall, right? And when you think about brand, it's the difference between, you know, why we all pay for a pair of Nike shoes instead because it has the swoosh on it, or, you know, why someone might buy a Lululemon fanny pack instead of just a normal fanny pack that would cost a fraction of the price. Is there's been a brand equity, and same thing for your personal brand, et cetera, which you're totally hitting on here. You know, what we just talked about, you really made me start to think about just the planning that really goes behind this. You were talking about not rushing things and, you know, not being greedy, et cetera. So how do you go about that, planning the content? Is that something that you are doing like on a weekly basis? Are you really cognizant about it? Are you more kind of on the fly? How do you go about the content creation, planning and the structure?
For myself or for
let's break it down to both.
I mean, for me, I'm the most like on the fly person on earth, like literally. And then some people even on Clubhouse like, yo, like you gotta start planning your rooms. Like I'm the type of guy, like I'll tell you, yo, in 3 hours I'm hosting Steve Aoki, let's go, right? And and it's not always like, you know, it's like it's tough, but it's just because like I was always of that nature. Like I haven't posted on my Instagram in forever, which is a huge mistake, but I'm so immersed in Twitter and Clubhouse right now, like I'm just in it, right? I'm so focused. Right before coming on here, I was finishing a thread real quick, and it's just like, but it's just, I've always been that way, you know, and my best content, my most authentic content is the content like I can't think content through. It's impossible for me. My rooms, even when I host like these big like NFT drop rooms, like a lot of people have scripts and stuff in the back, which is fine, by the way. Like I encourage people to be planned because not everyone can just take it on the whim, right? Which you should be planned, but I'll literally like hop out of the shower, open Clubhouse, let's go. Plug in my AirPods, and I'm hosting like a 5,000 person room. And the thing is, but I always know like where I'm headed. But that's only because I've done it for 10 years. Not Clubhouse, but messaging, brand building, communicating. Whether it's on Twitter or a post on Instagram or Clubhouse, it's the same thing. It's just the medium that changes. And so I know where I'm going, but I'm like that. However, that doesn't mean that preparing, scripting, and being organized in advance make you inauthentic. On the contrary, if you're a brand, you better have your content plan a year ahead. Like if you're like a physical company, like you need to have your Christmas stuff ready, your like all your New Year's and this and that, like the content planning and all. You have to. I've worked with physical product brands, and I don't do it anymore much because I'm really just focused on my own personal brand and business I'm building. So I really just stepped away from all that because it became just too much work, right? But you know, it's like these people are already ahead, like because you have to have a whole content product. Like we've had like a whole product set, photo shoot, video shoot, this, that, like, you know, and so that's really important. So you want to be planned ahead. And even like I make sure like when I onboard clients, like I make sure they already have a content team and they already have like people like ready to like, there's like a middle person like ready to like plan posts and like, okay, this is set to go out Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and all you do is adjust, adapt times, days. Okay, this day has to be that day has to be this. Like you have to play with it. You have to really learn. You have to really spend years before like being able to like just go and advise someone. Like I don't know. It has nothing to do with age. I'm a kid. I'm 26. Like, but I have more experience in this game than like people who are like twice my age, right? But I still had to put in like the work in, right? So unless you have multiple years under your belt, then it's really hard to get into that space, and you're gonna burn yourself. So first, build, try, you know, learn lessons, and you know, hit a wall a few times, and then just go, like, you know.
So with that being said, and the tips of just doing it, let's say there are people in this audience today who've never really capitalized on Instagram and they don't have a business account, for example. You know, they're under 100 followers, they're getting on Clubhouse, they're an Android user, just getting on.
Yeah.
What are your tips on these main two platforms for them to grow right now if they are starting today? They don't have the background that you did. They didn't start 10 years ago, not even familiar with the, Instagram functionality. How would you tell them to do it, considering a lot of people may consider it they're late in the game?
I mean, I think you're never late in the game when it comes to social media. It's just like the same way I kind of make it sound easy that we grew pages like 7 years ago. It was never easy, right? Like imagine I had an iPhone, a broken iPhone 5 because I couldn't afford a new screen for real. And like I had to jump in, like log in, and you couldn't log into multiple Instagram pages back in my day. I'm kidding. But you actually couldn't like log into multiple pages. So I was posting on 6 pages per day, 10 times per day, logging in and out on a shattered iPhone 5 and a slow MacBook because all that stuff was too expensive. And so, but I wanted to get it done. So if you don't have that same will to get something done and build a brand, then you're in the wrong place. You can go do something else and it's fine. Not everybody has to be a brand builder. Not everybody has to be a community builder. Not everybody needs 1 million followers. As a matter of fact, you can make just as much money with 10,000 followers if you're an expert in your niche than 1 million followers. And I know that because I have a 2 million follower page, Good Life, that makes me less money than my personal brand. You know, if you want to talk numbers. And that's what people need to understand. If you become an expert in your niche, then you don't need to have huge audiences. Now, back to your question, to building those audiences. You asked about 2 platforms, Instagram and Clubhouse. But earlier we talked about how every platform, like it's just what I told you about my parkour, like through Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, back to Clubhouse, and now building Twitter again, is there's patterns that you can follow across all platforms. It's just not Clubhouse and Instagram specific. And those patterns don't change. Why? Because human behavior does not change. If anything, humans just consume even more content online as ever, especially after 15 months in the pandemic, right? And so the only thing is, attention now is split between so many platforms and messaging platforms and this and that and people. I told you when I started, 100 million online, million people on Instagram. Now 1-point-something billion, right? Active users, like 300 million people a day watch stories, right? So you have to cut through the noise. Now the hardest thing to do is not growing, is cutting through noise to be seen, because Instagram's algorithm just can't pick up on everybody, right? Like for the last 3 days, shit, like my page Good Life was kind of going down in terms of reach, and then all of a sudden today, boom, we're booming. Why? Content, consistency. We don't just stop because there's a down day. We just keep going, and we're doing 165 million impressions a month now. But God, I started at 0, and there were days where for 2 years straight, I lost followers every single day, and that's normal. And it's really normal. But you keep going, you make it through that, you cut through the noise, and you keep building. So the key components are this one word that people keep repeating, but it's important. It's consistency. And it's just like anything in your personal life, even your relationship. If you're not consistent, you're going to fall off, right? So anything, your gym, your lifestyle, you're not consistent, you're going to get unhealthy. So it's the same thing. Just treat it like you treat anything else. You're a new user on Clubhouse, guess what? Start rooms. If you don't like the vibe, create your own vibe. And the second I understood that, I had 8,000 followers on Clubhouse at some point, I wanted to stop. I was like, I'm not liking everything I'm seeing here. I'm not getting too much traction. I was spending 70 hours a week on the app. I kid you not, I have screenshots. Okay. And actually I would lose my voice. And now I guess my voice, it's a muscle, it's trained now. I'm good. But a lot of tea. But it's be consistent. And if you don't like something, go create something. And going back to what I was saying is, if you like the vibe, create your own vibe. Is I started making my own rooms, inviting people. If there's 5 people in your room and you have an issue with that, then you're the problem, because that's 5 people that are listening to you. And if you can't cherish that, then you're not made for this game, because you're gonna have to start from scratch. Network with people. Networking offline is probably the most important thing ever. By offline, I mean like on DMs and stuff, because that's the new offline, right? And so network with people, build with people, find people that you can associate with. And you don't need to always shoot for the stars and try to, let's say you're on Clubhouse, you're really small, you're starting. You don't have to go for the people that are the biggest. Start small. Find people who are small like yourself and host rooms together. Eventually, maybe you'll go separate. We all did. Now, Nicole hosts her own room. Leah does her rooms. John does his rooms. I do my rooms. Guess what? Wherever we're in similar rooms, we always push the shit out of each other and we support one another because we started together. So the important thing is Find the people that you can associate with, find the people you can build with, and just go. It works 10 times out of 10. I've been there. I've done that on every single platform. Doing it right now on Twitter, boom, and doing 2 to 7 million impressions a month, which is 12,000 followers. Why? Because there are people sharing my content, because I'm out there putting content out every single, actually right now every hour pretty much, or every 30 minutes, because I'm addicted, but I love it, right? And so the thing is, it was the same thing with Clubhouse. Rooms, but also be present. If you don't want to start your own room, that's fine, no problem. Try to get up on other people's stages first. Learn to speak and learn to really how the platform works, play around with it and test. And I promise you it's going to work, especially I know there's a lot of new Android users coming in right now. That's what we did early on. Like I have let me check, 138,000 followers now, but like had zero. Had to hustle my way up on stage. I mean, like crazy. If I show you guys, I would have to scroll, but I was DMing people like, yo, let's start this room. Can I get on that? Can I get on this? It's the game. And it's just like anything else. You got to hustle. You got to work. It's just, there's no secret. Like consistency and creating are the two most important words. Like you just got to keep creating and just keep being consistent.
Yeah, 100%. No, it's so evident, and you know, I love that you touched when you first started about how energy is important, and you definitely are a charismatic guy with lots of energy, and it's so right. You know, people gravitate towards that. And yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. You know, when we started the Founder Streams room, it was the same. There would only be like 2 or 3 people in the room, then like 5 or 6, then 10, you know, so little by little. But just want to do a super quick reset. Everybody, thank you for listening in, whether you are here on Clubhouse or you are listening watching on video. As we mentioned, if you have a question, feel free to do so in the comments, and we will go ahead and ask that to Farokh. Or if you are in the audience, feel free to raise your hand. We're going to start welcoming people to the stage in the next about 5-10 minutes or so. So do raise your hand and we'll pull you on up here so you can ask. Do, of course, make sure you're following the club. You're probably already following Farokh, but if you're not, do give him a follow. And yeah, let's go on. What's our next question, Paris?
I wanted to know, because you were talking about, I mean, I'm taking so many notes here to repeat to our audience at the end of the show in case they were not here throughout, because Farokh, you've been not only generous with your time, but generous in sharing your expertise as well. I mean, we see you and we watch you do it, but it's really brilliant to understand and get, and for those of us who've met you in person, we know that you are offline exactly the energetic kind.
You brought me the most bomb Persian sweets, by the way. Like my mother did not believe it was homemade. That's how good they were.
When you both
like
are
officially a cousin now. This is to anyone joining. If you know the Persian community, we often, like when we bond with people, they officially become our cousins. And Farokh and I happen to be in the same city, so we did meet in person. I can confirm the vivacious, energetic person is just as warm, as welcoming, and as sincere in person. And it's honestly such a pleasure. And you've been so generous with your time and answers tonight. I wanted to know, you spoke about creating and keeping consistent. I'm wondering what your opinion is on different platforms. We see now new ones emerging, like Green Room. This one is also audio only. It's also time consuming. How do you decide which one you spend more time on? How do you decide if you're going to spend more time over there? How do you decide if that's the one you want to capitalize and focus on? How does that decision making happen for you? Because I know that's a question a lot of us are facing. It's like, wait a minute, what am I going to do? You know, there's like Reels and there's TikTok. Where do you focus attention? And now between Clubhouse and Green Room, what do you think? What would your advice be?
Well, you know, we live in an amazing time. And for all the social media nuts like myself, like I'm a total social media nerd, you know, what a time to be alive. We're about to witness we're about to witness live social audio wars. It's incredible. I don't know about you guys, but I'm hyped because it only means more attention, more listeners, more people that you can, you know, more building, more collaborating, more everything. Because live social audio has, I don't even want to say 10x. I don't even want to say 100x. It's 1,000x the network effect. And every single person right now, you're on your phone, you're on your computer, Google right now. The network effect. There's a Wikipedia page. It's excellent. Read about it. And so that's what Clubhouse has done. Clubhouse has allowed people to just literally meet the most incredible, talented, like-minded individuals in the world in a time where we needed it the most. And it came in so clutch, because if it wasn't for Clubhouse, I wouldn't be in the industry I'm in today. I wouldn't be meeting the people I am meeting with today, or even be on this podcast with you guys and interviewed. So, which is amazing. But what's interesting is live social audio is obviously the future of like podcasting and audio and this and that, especially when you'll be able to just like hit record right now on the app and just post it to Spotify directly, right? So this is where it was interesting. So I did test, and I, as a creator, more than an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur creator, right? As an entrepreneur, for my own clients, I must test everything. I have to do my due diligence, or else I'm not good at what I do. And as a creator, same thing. Not only that, but as a creator, I have to go get as much audience as I can and farm an audience across multiple platforms. That's what I do, right? And so, right now, and I was having a conversation literally before this with another big Clubhouse creator, there's no app that has a good UI UX like Clubhouse does. There is none. You can send me, like, Facebook has Hotline coming up. They announced it. There is Twitter Spaces, obviously, not to be forgotten, for sure. And there is Spotify Green Room, which was hot for like a solid 48 hours. And so, come on, it's true. The only people that were on that app were literally Clubhouse moderators who thought they could have really built something there. And I don't blame them. Again, I just said it. You have to try. And now they're all back. And so there's a reason for that, right? It's because this app has brought so many, it's like also almost like it's because we just have created so many bonds here that's like, it's kind of like we don't want to go anywhere, but you're going to have to test things in life. That's just how shit works, right? And so, my take here is I can't predict the future, but I can tell you one thing. Clubhouse right now is facing its most important and most critical timestamp. They're going to have to prove to the world, are you a platform or are you a feature? If they're a feature, not going to make it unless it just sells to someone, right? If you're a platform, however, which I have a feeling that they're going to be and that they are. I'm a pro, by the way. I'm pro Clubhouse. I think everybody knows that. I spend my life on here. I just said that I owe a lot of things I'm doing to it. I would have never even known what an NFT is if it wasn't for Clubhouse, and met some incredible people. And I see them in the audience right now, actually. But like you can't even be on here and have the audience that I have and not recognize that you have to start acknowledging other platforms in the space, right? You can't. And so I'm curious. For now, I've been dabbling into spaces left and right, just trying. I'm not starting rooms there. I did one just to try, but it was just for the sake of it. And that's also because my space right now, I'm really immersed in the NFT and crypto space, literally is residing there, right? But also here. So I have to do that for work, right? But for now, like, I'm more excited about Clubhouse's discovery updates, because obviously, Clubhouse has been throttling engagement, throttling notifications, just trying to work on it, right? And that's fine. There's nothing wrong about that. I'm just saying, like, I'm curious to see when those updates are finally going to get here. Very excited. And I'll be the first one to scream to everyone that it's out. And then furthermore, just more tools, right? Like, let's say on Twitter, I can pin a tweet and send people there. Network effect. If you Googled it by now or you do it after it, well, guess what? That's a lot of engagement. I can directly push like 100 retweets in 5 minutes. That's big for me, right? But the same thing here. That's what I always loved about Clubhouse, and that's what they did perfectly. I have my Instagram and my Twitter linked to my profile. That's literally how I built my Twitter. I had 800 followers on Twitter when I started Clubhouse. I have 13,000 almost right now. So it was just because of Clubhouse, because I kept on Clubhouse where I had 6,000 people in a room. I'll be like, yo, everyone right now, I have a pull up on my Twitter, open my bio, hit my Twitter, and follow me there and respond to the poll. And I started blowing up there, right? So I love that Clubhouse has allowed that. I love that Clubhouse is building on that. I'm really curious and excited to see if it's gonna prove to the world that it can be standalone. Snapchat did it. Everybody laughed at Snapchat when they didn't sell to Google and Facebook for like $3 and $4 billion. Now it's like what, $90 billion market cap, right? And they're crushing it with AR, VR, and freaking filters and storefronts and this. And I love to see it, even though I'm an Instagram guy, right? Because stories for me were the biggest thing when it came out, right? When they ripped off Snapchat, I was like, woo! I was like head over heels. But then again, TikTok. When Instagram did Reels, it was like, oh yeah, TikTok is beast right now. If you look at the growth of ByteDance, which is the parent company of TikTok, they are killing it. They're going more parabolic than any company, even though Facebook just hit $1 trillion valuation, I think, 48 hours ago? Did it close yesterday, 2 days ago, something at $1 trillion, right? I don't know if it was Friday evening or Monday evening, I forgot. Excuse me, but it's just like I genuinely think Clubhouse can make it. Like I that's why I went so bullish. That's why I still keep coming. That's why tomorrow I'm still hosting a massive room on here. That's why at least once a day I'm on in rooms, and like it's just like I really think so. Like I'm positive about it. I tried all the others. Nothing impressive for now. So for now we're here, and then we'll see what the future holds. But I'm hyped. I just love the founders. Like because when I look at a platform like this, like I look at the team, and I looked at Paul, and I was like, damn, this guy, like he's like me. Like he gets so excited about shit. Like he goes on the town hall, he's like clapping and screaming. He's so hyped. I'm like, this is exactly who I am, and I believe in me, right? And so it's like I like him. And then I look at the team, like there's people like Fadia, like she came from Facebook and this and that. Like, and you look at they hired like 50 people recently, and they're all Avengers. And so it's like, wow, okay, let's see what's up. Because I genuinely think that Clubhouse will be the app that's going to be able to be the bridge between the physical and the digital world when it comes to public speaking and events. They did a collab with the NHL, collab with the NFL. And by the way, I'm not paid to say this. I genuinely love it. And they hired someone from the head of the TED speakers. Like there's something there, and I'm still curious.
Yeah, no, you bring up super great points. Paris and I think are probably pretty aligned with you. We spend quite a bit of time here. I do with myself. I actually hosted events in the real world, and this was the closest thing I saw. Like what you're saying, and one of the themes I kind of heard you say, or at least allude to, is the fact that you're building your community. There is a community here. When you go to these other spaces, though, you got to maybe look at the real estate and see if you should invest time and energy into that space. There's not a community there yet, or if the community is there, it's slightly artificial at this initial time. So, you're also very much in this NFT community, like you just brought together. And so how did you get into NFTs? How did you really become that go-to person from the content side when it comes to NFTs? And then from there, we'll go ahead and get to rapid fire with some questions, and then we'll open it up. So if you are in the audience, we do see a handful of hands there. Keep raising them, and we'll get to you here in just a moment.
Raise them up. Let's go, baby. I can't wait to have the audience come up. I see a lot of dope people in there. But, how did I get into NFTs? Incredible story, honestly. Like, it's like, I can't wait to, like, tell my kids the story. But, like, it's so cool. Like, I am months into Clubhouse. I got into Clubhouse in November. But I made my first room in December 28th, and the second I made a room, I knew this was the future. I was like, all right, that's it. I literally spent 12 hours a day on the app. Sometimes I did a room that was 38 hours long. I did it, but you see, like that's what it takes, right? And so I'm not saying go do that now. It's really unhealthy. But it was at a time where there was so many people on the app. Like it was so lit, like it was like Christmas time. This is that. Like, come on. But NFTs. So I already had about 75, 80,000 followers on here. And what's incredible is that I one night my friend Buster back in February, he was hosting a room about collectibles in general because he's big into collectibles. He collects like Pokemon cards, baseball cards, and all that good stuff. And some people were talking about gold, silver. We were talking literally about all things collectibles with Darren Ravel and some really cool people that are experts in the physical collectibles. And then Buster brings up this acronym NFT, and I really had no idea what it meant. And I say that on every podcast I go on, whatever. I'm not out here trying to invent someone I'm not. This is who I am, and I had no idea what an NFT was. And so I leave the room. I come back at literally at midnight. And the funny thing is, I was a couple of drinks in, and it was really fun. And I was just doing my thing. It was like a late night, whatever. And Logan Paul comes on the room, right? So obviously Logan Paul comes on and the room explodes. That's what happens on Clubhouse. You see someone that has a lot of following, everybody flocks around it, right? But then the next thing is because he was dropping an NFT the next day, right? Now, I don't want to talk about that project specifically because I have nothing to do with it. But the point being is him coming and talking about NFTs and raising awareness around something that nobody knew anything about back in February, except for the crypto natives. Like in the mainstream world, nobody knew about it, including myself. I had no idea what it was. It was the first time I've ever heard about it. next thing you know, and I always mention this legendary room, every single artist that you know today pulled up. Ferocious, who's ending his sales like Chris's tomorrow. You had Thank You X, Fuck Render, Odious. I have screenshots of it. I mean, you had the whole small tiny NFT space that was living on Twitter come to Clubhouse that night, and we held the room until 4 a.m. And I was out there asking questions on questions on questions. I think I asked 100 questions to these poor people back then. And I asked so many questions because I was so fascinated, because the second I heard about what a non-fungible token is and was, and what its utility was in the future, I saw clear. And I kid you not, I dropped every client. I dropped everything I was doing at the time. And I stopped and I said, this is the future. I'm either at the right place at the right time. I missed the Bitcoin boat in 2013. I missed it in 2017. And I'm not going to miss NFTs 2021, because it feels like the same thing. And even Gary Vee says NFT feels like when they created the internet in 1995. And that's exactly what it is. And so when I found out about it, I was so passionate, because not only because of the technology side, which took me so long to understand, and even today I'm learning so much, but on the community standpoint, everyone was so loving. Everyone was so dope. Everyone was so creative. Like it reminded me back in 2014 when we were all growing Instagram pages. I was tripping because like the community around it was amazing. Like people were so smart, and I was like, damn, these kids are so smart. And I had the same feeling. So the next morning I wake up, obviously the only thing in my mind is NFTs. And I go to this room, and there's this artist that I had met the night before, Micah Johnson. He drops this NFT called Aku. And it was a story of what if an astronaut was black. And I thought it was so moving and beautiful, and just the way he told the story the night before. And that's his NFT drop. And I bought my first NFT. And I'll never forget, I was in a different apartment. I grabbed my chair. I just banged it on the wall. I was like, let's go. I was so excited. I'm like, oh my God, I felt like I did something. And I'll never forget that feeling, because I felt like a kid again. And there's nothing more amazing than working in an industry, in a space, and doing things than when you feel like a kid. Because that's when you had the most fun, except that you're making money and meeting people and building dope shit that actually can help people. And so from there on, I mean, fully immersed. Next thing you know, I hit up Paolo. I'm like, yo, listen, like you have all these contacts, because he's been in the industry for like, you know, celebrities, this and that, representation management for like 25 years. And Steve Aoki was dropping NFT. I was like, yo, you need to pull a plug for us to host Steve Aoki. And I was like, because this is like a big deal. He's coming. It's like, we have to find a way to be the bridge between NFTs and the mainstream world. We have to. And so we hosted that room. 6,000 people showed up, both rooms, 36,000 total per room, in and out. And from there on, I mean, we just started hosting room and holding space for these artists that we met that night, but also mainstream artists to come into the space nonstop. And up to date, like we've worked with some of the biggest artists in terms of the mainstream, so the physical and the digital. And it's been just so incredible. We built the NFT club on Clubhouse that has 40,000 something followers and members, and just have had the chance to work with some incredible minds. Like really, like from the dopest artists, like I mentioned, Victor Ferocious, Fuck Render, Victor Mascara, Thank You X, his whole crew, Mad Dog Jones. He just had his Phillips auction that we co-hosted as well. I mean, I see some people in the crowd, like you have Richard, like he's a smart contract artist. Like you have so many cool people like that build in the space. But then the mainstream world, like have had, you know, the chance to work and advise with like Paris Hilton, had the chance to help Jake Paul with his project, to really make sure that actually he was taking more of a community approach with the space and not just like a money grab approach, where he worked with like artists in the space and everything. So it was awesome, right, to have people like that, and you know, Steve and Calvin Harris and this and that. So that's how I found out about NFTs, and to this date, I mean, I have not worked one day in the space, and now I'm literally building businesses in there, and it's just the most amazing thing ever.
Honestly, the takeaways are so massive, and it's so incredible, because a lot of people, I mean, NFTs are such a new space for many of us, but I don't know if you know, but Jonathan has been in the space for a long time. and the rest of us are catching up. But what I love, Farokh, is that so many people are catching up, and sometimes they feel overwhelmed and they're like, oh, I don't know it, and they don't want to look dumb, like they weren't in the know, so they won't ask the questions. And you, who's out there, you actually did ask the questions, you actually did put yourself out there, and it brought you into this whole new platform in this whole new world. And to see you be embraced by that community as well, I think speaks volumes about you. So love the story, love the shares. I definitely want to make sure we give the audience a chance to ask the questions. So we do see your hands raised. We're going to bring you up in a second. Before we do that, we have rapid fire, which means very, very quick answers. And the first one, I feel like I know the answer to this one. What's your favorite social platform?
Insta Clubhouse.
You're cheating.
It works. No, but Instagram made me. Clubhouse echoed my voice.
Nice. So you let us know what it was earlier, but what's your screen time usage now?
On my phone in general, I'll tell you right now, as I have my phone literally in front of me, my screen time daily average is 11 hours. That's not bad. A day.
That's acceptable.
I was doing 17-hour shifts a day, in like December, January, February, March. I'm like, actually, I'm easing up right now.
Amazing. I'm glad you're getting more sleep. I would love to know an entrepreneur you admire.
Kanye.
That's my same pick. Love it. Who are your top 3 must follows on, regardless of the platform?
By the way, for entrepreneurs, I admire this Kanye in terms of celebrity, but everyone I'm working around of right now, I admire all of them. Like, I admire a billion people. I don't look up to I just look up to people around me. But that's a good question. My most, J Balvin follows me on Instagram. Conor McGregor, they have 40, 50 million followers. Paulo Dybala, 30 something million followers. So have a Good Life page has a ton of these big followers. Pretty cool.
No, the question is, who are your favorite people, your top 3? If you had to delete everyone on every platform but keep 3, you're only allowed to follow 3 people. Who are you following?
Damn, it's tough because I'm living in Web 3.0 right now. They would be people from my space, the NFT crypto space, all 3 of them, because that's where I'm learning from. But that's too hard for me to answer. I don't know. I consume very little content. I know it sounds weird because I'm in the space, but I've never really been that guy consuming content. I put out a lot of content. I consume my own, actually. I literally rewatch my stories and answer my DMs and answer every comment and every retweet, everything. Yeah. So it's tough. Sorry.
The only non-answer we've had on this so far. I will leave it to Jonathan to let it go and go on to the next question.
Awesome. So, all right, we've been talking crypto, Bitcoin, Doge, Ethereum.
ETH,
what do you pick?
ETH to the moon. Ethereum is becoming a new currency. That's, this whole space drives on ETH. I'm not dismissing the others. I'm just saying this is my favorite.
Okay, you can only listen to one artist for the rest of time. Who are you listening to?
Andrea Bocelli.
I think someone else said that recently, right? Was that Arlene, I think, said that?
I mean, I have my top 5 that I would listen to until I die, but if you ask me for one, it's Andrea Bocelli.
Yeah,
for sure.
Love it. All right, the one thing you want everybody to know about you.
I'm actually very introverted. Sounds super odd, but I'm very out there, but you probably don't know 90% of I just keep most of the stuff to myself. I like it that way.
Amazing. Well, we're going to keep the privacy private. We have Shahriar on the stage and Gio on the stage as well. We're going to get to their questions. Before we do, I have one last one. Just in case anyone was wondering, if you look at Farokh's bio and you read it, you go all the way to the bottom. It says he speaks French, English, Farsi, Italian, and Spanish. That's a lot of languages. Do you care to explain why and how?
Oh my God, I love languages. It's one of my passions. A lot of people know that. But first of all, I was born and raised in Paris, French. I've lived in Canada for over 20 years, Montreal, which is bilingual English, but I also learned both of my growing up. Farsi because I'm 100% Persian, super proud of it. learn how to speak Farsi. I don't read or write, but I do speak it and understand it. Then Italian, because I took 12 years of Italian classes, and additionally Italian, I studied the history and geography of Italy, and then I moved to Italy in Bologna to study law. I actually went to law school, by the way. I just didn't finish my last semester, but I did an exchange semester in Bologna, and so I literally lived in Italy. And then Spanish, because I took 2 semesters of Spanish, but being that Spanish is a Latin language like French and English, French and English, what am I saying? Like Italian and French, it was very easy for me to pick up on it, and I was traveling a lot, funny enough, to the south of America, to the U.S., the south of it, within Texas. I was in Texas a lot, Texas, California, all that good stuff, and like I was around so many like Spanish-speaking people that like I just literally picked it up. So pretty cool, yeah. And I just love languages in general.
Solid. In case anyone else was wondering, I'm fascinated by languages, and I needed that explanation. Shahriar and Gio, thank you for your patience. Shahriar, you want to go ahead with your question for Farokh?
First of all, I've never seen an Iranian speak that fast. Farokh, damn it, yeah. That was...
Sorry.
Iranians, according to Mansouri and I, we're mellow, we're relaxed. Yeah, we like the cat.
That's my favorite skit of all time.
You're definitely on something. Anyway, it's great to meet you on Clubhouse. But this message actually is for Paris. Paris, I've sent you a DM since our last conversation. You said reach out. I'm taking the company public on July 6th. I need some media help, lady.
Okay, no problem. I didn't get the DM, but I will check my other DM inbox. I promise you I will.
Come on,
tonight or tomorrow for sure. We'll definitely get to it. But definitely running out of time for Farokh. So Gio, what is your question for Farokh?
I'm currently creating an NFT platform, and I was wondering if hosting a Clubhouse room is a good way to promote my app, or are there better ways to attract NFT investors to our platform? And we have a good amount of amazing artists joining us on the launch. So I was just wondering, in terms of marketing, what's the best way to promote it?
Yeah, look, the NFT space and community lives and breathes Clubhouse. I first and foremost, I invite you to get lost on the app and just really join these. You have to be following, you're following 43 people right now, but and that's fine. I don't know how long ago you joined Clubhouse, but go follow the artists, go follow the right people, join the Clubhouse rooms, go learn about the community, immerse yourself in the community. This space, even more than any other space before, is all about community. So go learn about it, go follow them. This is actually the people who are going to be your potential customers at the end of the day, right? Or even the artists that you want minting on your platform. So yes, Clubhouse room for sure, and also Twitter. These are the 2 platforms where the space thrives. So really immerse yourself first. It's like when I started Instagram, I was saying I was always on the app, or Clubhouse, I lived on it. You got to do that especially for the NFT space. You have to immerse yourself in the community first, and it's here while we're talking. Literally, I can see 4 NFT rooms. So, really just go follow the right people and lose yourself in there.
For sure. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you so much, Gio, for sharing your question. I hope that was helpful. Honestly, Farokh, I feel like this was a masterclass in social media, regardless of the platform that people want to be on. It's so great. Obviously we see the big numbers now, but it's really wonderful to see your, not only the opinions on what it takes now, but what it took. We forget, and the fact that you spent 2 years without getting anything or moving forward at all. It was really, really incredible. I would love for you to leave our audience with a question that you want them to ponder.
What are you here for? Just ask yourself that. And then once you have the answer to what you're here for, try to find a way to just thrive off that answer. I know what I'm here for, what I want to do, whether it's in my space, in my community, in the NFT space. I ask myself very first day, I'm what am I here for? What's my place in the space? And once I found that, I went all into that. Literally, that's what I started doing, and only that. And because I know that was what I would be really good at, because it's what I'm here for. It's what I'm passionate about. It's my calling. So the same thing, no matter what you're doing, you know, even as a human being, just what are you on this planet for? What do you think you love the most? And then just go.
I love that. Oh, that's great, Farokh. It's been super great getting to know you here, and I'm so glad that everybody got a chance to, hear from you, because I know you do a lot of the questions, and you're allowing other people to get to know these amazing artists and individuals. So I'm just glad we had a chance to ask, these questions. What are some good ways that people can stay in touch with you, follow along on your journey, pay attention to what you're up to? What are the best ways for that?
I mean, I'm literally Farokh on every platform. Like, my username is literally Farokh everywhere. Clubhouse, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. Like, but that's the three that I'm the most active on. So, really, Clubhouse, Twitter, Instagram are the three platforms where you're gonna find me the most active. Instagram, I post stories all the time, all day, every day. Especially if you love coffee, check it out. Twitter is where I literally tweet like my thoughts, my work, what's coming up, my clubhouses, the artists I work with or encounter, everything. And Clubhouse is where I come and I just let it all out. So, and I host the rooms and this and that. So it's really like the three, that it's my three.
What's coming up that everyone should know about?
If you tap on my profile, you can, because if you're on YouTube, but if you go to my Clubhouse, or if you're on Clubhouse, you tap on my profile, like, I have a really, really big room tomorrow. And it's actually, it's an honor for me. It's like the biggest thing I've ever done in the space, but I'm hosting the auction closing of Ferocious, an artist, an 18-year-old trans artist at Christie's. He's the youngest artist ever in the history of Christie's. This is literally, like, for people who are not familiar with the space, like, this is modern art history happening on here. We hosted 2 rooms already for the presentation, the sale start, and then the auction ending, which is tomorrow, and there's gonna be some incredible people. But this is literally an artist and a sale that's gonna be talked about for 100 years. He was on CNN this morning across 200 territories. He was on ABC Nightline and everything. So that's like super exciting. But in general, like, honestly, there's just like every day something new pops up. Like, I have no idea what comes next. Next is July. Like, it's gonna be a sick month, right? So just stay tuned. It's a whole, like, somebody yesterday called me an enigma, and I was like, I like that.
You definitely are, but we hope we've helped unravel the enigma just a little bit tonight, this past hour. Farokh, thank you so much for being here. To anyone who just joined us, the show is called Anybody's Game. We hold it every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. We speak to leaders in their industry, and we find out what it takes. Is it anybody's game? Since it is theirs, we find out how they did it, and hopefully their takeaways will be enough for you to have a major takeaway, to have a major breakthrough, a light bulb moment, an aha moment, whatever you want to call it. Leave you be inspired with their trials, tribulations, and how they made it through. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you weren't here throughout, listen, follow Jonathan, follow Farokh. You'll see that they tweeted the video link for tonight. So Clubhouse is live, and we're not recording on Clubhouse, but we are recording the live video. There were some major takeaways, like just really not worrying about what people are thinking, what everyone else's takeaways are. Just post what you want to post and learn from that. Don't go too fast. It takes a long time to build a brand. Like Farokh mentioned, you're going to have to start from scratch. You're seeing his big numbers, you're seeing the massive room, but one of his major takeaways is just start from scratch and do it, to network, to stay consistent, and to keep creating. If you've followed Farokh, you know that he holds a lot of NFT rooms these days, but he's hosted, post boxing match rooms. He's hosted rooms on conversations, on mental health, on art, with athletes, and something a lot of people may not know, he has a lot of smaller social rooms as well. And he actually facilitated somebody coming out of jail. So lives have been changed, and he's a private person. If you heard him say he's an introvert, but there's a lot of things that he does behind the scenes that help people out in ways that we don't even know. But I was there that night, and to see how
that was cool.
yeah, there was somebody who came in the room that we didn't know. And then between you and me and, you know, other friends, I don't want to name them because they're private individuals as well, to spend literally almost, you know, a lot of money to wire it to the person. And within the week or two, is that how long it took? The person was out of jail.
It took a bit because it was in
Yeah.
a country. But yeah, I mean, we made it happen. We got the person out. It was all legit too. So it's thanks to Clubhouse. See these moments. You know, I'm excited about that because it's happening here.
Well, you're doing great things with it as well. So Farokh, thank you so much for spending this hour with us, for sharing your insight and being so generous with your feedback and also your time, Jonathan. I'm going to hand it back to you to close out the room.
Yeah, thanks again, Farokh. It's just great getting to know you, and looking forward to seeing you continue to grow. And it's just a great conversation. Definitely one I'm going to want to be listening to again. For those here listening in, thanks again for following the Founder Streams Club. And we do this show every single Tuesday at 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So be here next week, and we'll go ahead and run it back. Real quick, I do want to plug another room that we do. We started the Founder Streams Accelerator here on Clubhouse. It's our second cohort, and we actually kicked that off yesterday. So that's on Mondays and Wednesdays at 4 o'clock. You could follow along. You can see the 10 companies as they progress. And so do join us tomorrow at 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Paris, always a pleasure to host with you. Farokh, thank you again. And we're going to go ahead and close out the room, everybody. Hope you have a fantastic day, and look forward to seeing you here on Clubhouse and on Twitter and LinkedIn and YouTube.
Farokh, thank you.
You're welcome. That was